Hey, what's up guys? My name is Moda and welcome back to the Mining Stacker YouTube channel. Today's video, we're going to be talking about scams. This is yes, another video regarding this topic. We're going to talk about some of the latest ones. Some of the ones I've been getting questions from you guys, which I highly encourage. If there's anything sketchy, anything you're thinking about, anything you're considering, you haven't seen other people talk about it, ask, right? Go in the comment section. Doesn't matter what the video is about. Could be talking about helium, whatever. Ask in the comments. There's a 99% chance I will see it, I will respond, or somebody will respond. So any of you guys who are also in the chat, in the comments, if you see questions like that, jump in also, right? We want to try to minimize the amount of scams and deceptive practices in our space, which is unfortunately only going to get worse, right? So we're going to talk about some of the ones I've been getting questions on, and just some like deceptive business practices also, right? Specifically in terms of like advertising from different companies, manufacturers, etc., especially for you new guys, right? They're going to be targeting you guys especially, so it's very imperative that you guys really focus on what's going on, right? Because unfortunately, this industry currently the way it is, not the most honest thing in the world, right? So you have to focus on those resellers that you trust, regardless of who you purchase from, doesn't matter, but just go for those guys, right? Don't go for the risky thing just because like, oh, I want to get in before somebody else gets in and all this nonsense, right? So we'll talk about it here in a second and just talk about like things to look at, like what should kind of be throwing red flags at you, okay? So if that sounds good, guys, stay tuned. Let's get right to this thing. So this is a video I was actually going to do a while ago, but just kind of got put on the back burner just with all the releases and everything going on. And gonna talk about some of the recent like scams and different things going on, right? So unfortunately did get a email this morning about somebody who purchased some of these things. Hopefully maybe there's something, maybe they get something regarding it, but like every red flag potentially is here. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard this one because this is one that's been around for a long time. This is not just like a few weeks ago. This has been around for months and months and months. So to me, it's all bullshit, but let's go through as to why we think that. Okay, so this is BlockDAG. BlockDAG.network is the website. Again, don't go to any of these websites. Don't go to any of this stuff. Just looking at things that should stand out immediately. Right? Like even if you haven't heard of this one, what should you be doing? Go on their socials, go on their different things. So these guys have paid a lot of money in advertising though. They do have a bunch of like fake press releases from a bunch of different companies. They do a lot to make it look like they are legit. Maybe they are a legit project. In reality, I don't know, but basing it off of what's being presented here in terms of the mining aspect looks like complete freaking bullshit, right? So I didn't even look farther into it. Just seeing what I saw here was more than enough for me to throw the red flags and not even look beyond that, right? So number one, when you try to look up BlockDAG, number one, it's been around a while. Still nothing really on it. You could buy the pre-sale, which is a huge red flag in itself, but let's just even focus on the mining aspect, which is what we're looking at. So this is one of their miners, the X30. What does it look like freaking immediately, like right off the rip? It's a little freaking gold shell box miner. Okay, they literally, it looks like they just spray painted. It's even the same box that they ship in. Okay, it literally looks like they spray painted this thing black. You're not going to probably be able to see in the video, but if you do go to the website and look at it just for shits and giggles, you can see it's like a piece of paper or a sticker that's just thrown over right here with this thing on it. They didn't even like put the effort to try to hide that. Okay, and as you look at the little box miner itself, it's one of the little gold shells. Okay, down to even the little Wi-Fi adapter. Huge red flag right off the rip right there, right? And it's saying it's a SHA-256 miner, and in previous iterations, remember the last time I looked at this like months and months ago, it was saying that it could also mine Caspa, which again is another big red flag, right? Like it's just a bunch of crap. So even as you look further into it, this is their X100, and what does it look like immediately? It's a damn Bitmain ASIC, right? They just didn't even put stickers. It's just fake graphics that they put on. Again, huge red flags. Huge red flags that should have you like not even looking at it. There's no hash rates. There's no anything. It's saying it uses SHA-256 and it's saying you're going to earn this much BlockDAG apparently, right? Which maybe it will give you some, but again, it's going to be like essentially a big Ponzi, right? So for example, they have a little mobile app as well. I'm sure maybe you can download it. It's probably a bunch of spyware and it might give you some on there, but you probably won't be able to sell it or do anything with it. It's just, again, to try to scam you. Okay, so it's even you go further and it gets worse and worse. They even have like an IoT looking device also, which again, it's just scamming all over it, right? Maybe it's real. I highly doubt it, but if you look at it again, because they keep up with it, it's very elaborate, right? They even have a little Telegram tap miner. Again, those little Telegram games or whatever, they have some implementation there as well. And you go through and it's like they're constantly updating these fake little dev releases on a daily basis, right? It's, again, very elaborate, and it's been like this for months. They're continuing the thing. Is it real? Is it fake? Realistically, there's enough red flags there for me to not even look any further. Okay, so again, one of those things you want to look at, you want to look into, is just look at all the bullshit, right? So that's the first one we'll talk about. Let's go on to the next one. And this is another one that's been around for quite a while also, and this is from 2N miner. So as in, they're kind of implying that it's a 2 nanometer miner, so 2 nanometer size chips, right? Which is their big thing. Their ploy as to how they're getting these exaggerated hash rates and such for all the popular ASICs, right? So notice how a lot of these will typically target a lot of the popular algorithms, okay? Which, again, Caspa was a big one. Again, if you guys remember, when the first Caspa ASICs were released, there was a total of like 5 to 6 different fake websites, all dedicated to these, that all looked somewhat legit, but they were all like fake. They were using previous names that people had heard of, but haven't produced anything in a long time. So like Silicon, Black Miner, Gecko Science, like there was a whole slew of them. And we're going to see that repeat here as well, right? With the introduction of these lithium ASICs, these radiant ASICs, and whatever else comes next that's crazy popular. And again, the number one bullshit thing right when you go to the thing is that they're saying that this is their mining pool, 2miners.com. 2miners.com has no affiliation with any manufacturer. They are not a manufacturer of ASICs. That's immediately a red flag. And then the other bullshit is once you go through their lineup, right? All you see is all the hype ASICs, all at like ridiculous ratings, and that's what gets people interested. They're saying these prices like, oh man, look at this AL3 85 terahash Alpha miner, only 11 grand, and they're like, oh man, let me get into it before anybody else sees it, right? So they're gonna feed into people's greed. That's the big thing, is that, and unfortunately that is a big thing in the mining space, with people trying to keep things on the down low, which I'm not a fan of, right? You see that a lot, especially with GPU mining, with different like spec coins and things like that. This is the kind of bullshit that it turns into, right? So that's why I'm just not a fan of that. Like spec mining, you can be into and do those things, but this is kind of what it turns into, and this is what these companies are preying on, right? They're preying on people's greed, essentially. Okay, so just keep in mind, a good rule of thumb is if it looks too good to be true, it probably is. But again, just you can confirm it with other people. You can ask, you can look around. You can even dig in deeper. You can go see when the website was put up, how long it's been around. Unfortunately, though, a lot of these have been around for quite a while, right? So in the past, it was like, oh, okay, this one's only been up 24 hours, definitely a scam. A lot of these have just been ongoing scams that are only going to get more elaborate and worse, especially as technology progresses. So things like such as like ChatGPT and the whole AI narrative, it's making it so easy, so fast to spin up these fake websites, spin up fake chatbots. So the scams are only going to get more elaborate. So it's imperative that you're staying on top of things. Okay, but again, just going through and basically looking at it, there's should be a ton of red flags all over the place, right? So number one, nobody's ever heard of these guys. These things are like not even remotely close. Some of them in the past have been almost believable, right? But like you see the KS7, it's like 90 terahash and stuff like that. So they're constantly updating them. So people are falling for them, unfortunately. They are buying these things hoping that they are somewhat legit, and unfortunately that's just not the case with a lot of these. Okay, so, and again, they love crypto because it's easy to, number one, it's final. It's not like with a credit card or something where you can do a chargeback or anything like that. It's sent off, it's away, it's gone, new wallet, etc., etc. Like, so be careful for these. Another big one that did trick a lot of people, and a lot of people did fall for this one also, and this is a fake superscaler website. The real website I couldn't even get onto anymore, superscalar.io, so they may even be gone. They may not even be making units anymore. But there's the fake website is .org, and the big thing is that people saw these exaggerated hash rates and they thought it was real, right? But as you go through it, again, when have you ever seen a listing for a $20,000 ASIC or piece of mining hardware that's buy two get one free, right? Or at the time, like when we've talked about this in the past, they had deals where you could buy like 10 of them or like all kinds of stupid crap, and they just get more and more elaborate. They just, whatever's hyped at the time, they'll use that moniker, they'll use that name. So for example, this one's the K-Cedra Ultra Boost. This is a new one since the last time we looked at it, as well as this one. Like, it's just, they keep adding and they keep piling on, and unfortunately it works. People fall for it. And these are the types of things that we have to talk about to bring awareness to people, especially a lot of the new guys coming into the space, because there is a lot of new people coming into the ASIC mining space, which is kind of a new thing because typically people get introduced to mining through GPUs or CPUs first, and then they step up. Just because of the downtrend with GPU mining, people have been getting into ASIC mining first, which is kind of a weird trend. So typically don't make too many like newbie friendly videos, but probably gonna have to start a little bit more just so things like this don't happen to people, right? So again, if it looks too good to be true, it probably is, right? So always go through, always ask, go into people's Discords. Fortunately, I don't have one just because scams galore. Eventually, I do want to do one in some capacity. Or I'm hoping this YouTube community thing does finally eventually open up to everybody. Eventually, they're supposed to do some kind of like Discord type thing embedded in YouTube, which can hopefully add a lot of safeguards and moderation, etc., just to avoid the scams. That's been my biggest thing for not creating a current Discord, just because I personally even hate using Discord just because of the amount of freaking scams, like nonstop, right? I'm in a lot of groups because I'm into a lot of things, and it's just nonstop freaking scams. All the messages, the friend requests, the fake links, it's scam city. That, Telegram, all those things, right? So gotta be super careful. Again, don't go onto any of those things on a computer where you have crypto wallets on your phone. Like, I personally don't really have any wallets or anything on my actual phone that I daily, just because of that, right? In case you accidentally do click a link or something happens, the last thing you want is to get drained, right? So again, those are things you want to look at when it comes to websites, because these things are going to keep coming, right? It's just, we're going to see them more with the lithium ASICs, with these radiant ASICs. We're going to see them, like, it's inevitable, right? Now, another thing to be wary of or to pay attention to is just deceptive practices from companies and manufacturers, right? This is one video I was going to do, and it just kind of fell on the back burner. And it's regarding this whole iServer.eu situation. Okay, so again, shout out to whoever asked this morning regarding their hosting services, and that was kind of the reminder, like, oh man, I never made a video regarding that. So whether or not this is a real company, it seems like they might be a real company. They've responded through, I think, tweets on X and such. They may be real. My beef with it is the extremely deceptive practice of using Ice River's name in their website. Okay, so whether they're real or not, at that point, shitty practice to me, I would never consider, right? Because of that, because this is again just tricking people into thinking that it's affiliated with the actual manufacturer, being iServer.io. That's their actual website. This company, this whatever, has zero affiliation with them. They are using that name to make people think that it is the official Ice River website, the official Ice River hosting, which it is not. Okay, so they may be a real company. Apparently they might be somewhere in Europe somewhere, but regardless, they're dead to me for that shitty practice. I would never consider, I would never endorse, never talk about them just because of that, because at the end of the day, they're trying to trick you. Okay, so just that alone kind of tells you everything you need to know about that company. Okay, so always question things, always look at things. Does it make sense? Is it real? You can always reach out to the companies as well. Email them. Hey, is iServer.eu, is that a European branch? Is that what's going on? And they'll give you the rundown of what they're going through with them currently. Okay. Another one is just, again, just shitty advertising from resellers, different things. This is one that happened recently. You could add it to the list of companies and things that are not big fans of me, but again, this type of bullshit needs to get called out. Initially, I tried to do it kind of playfully. Let me give you the thing, because they did delete the tweet finally almost a week later, right? And this is after the rebuttal. They tried to double down, so I doubled down on them, and that's what finally caused them to take that ad down. Okay. So this was the initial advertisement. So this is Bitmars, who is 100% on my shit list. And for practices like this, I would never recommend. I would never buy from. Although they're one of the biggest resellers, period, apparently, for this shitty practice, dunzo. Okay. So this was the ad. Hottest product, iServer RX0. This is the line I had an issue with. Okay. What does it say here? Achieve ROI in just 30 days. Okay, so that to me, obviously not going to be true. Okay, so we know with everything going on, with the hash rate increasing, by the time you get this thing, not likely to happen. Okay, so what did I do? Of course, I'm gonna call them out on their bullshit, right? So initially, I did it kind of playfully. So that, again, this was the advertisement. My tweet was, so advertising a 30-day ROI, ... That's a pretty bold advertisement, maybe getting quite a few unhappy customers. 30 days after the time it's received, what do you guys think? Okay, and the response to that, the market is constantly changing, and no one can predict it for sure. A mature investor will make judgments based on reality, with the little emoji of a guy with his arms crossed, right? Essentially kind of doubling down on their statement that it's up to the consumer to do that. And yes, I agree with it. It is up to them. The difference here is in your advertisement, you are saying, you're not implying, you're not saying that you're going to get a daily revenue of X amount and you could achieve ROI. You are literally saying achieve ROI in 30 days. So if I'm buying a product and it's going to say that I'm going to ROI in 30 days, that shit better ROI in 30 days then. Okay, and especially for you to respond in this way and double down on that statement, which we know is all bullshit, which again, the stupidity in this tweet, as I pointed out in the thing, is that at the time they put this tweet out, even at that time, it still wasn't a 30-day ROI. Okay, and it's very deceptive, right? It's one thing if even just putting a could, like, I'm not a fan of that. What they could have done is just, well, let's read the response here. Okay, so my response to that, after they made their little statement or whatever, is, and a mature reseller should not be advertising something that is false. Okay, because at the time it's false, and obviously later on, as time goes, it gets worse and worse, which currently, by the way, that shit is down to like $4 a day. So 30 days, $120 is not the $600 they're trying to sell it for. FYI. Okay, so which you're literally saying in your advertisement that the ROI is 30 days, which even at the time you posted this was not even true, as it was under $10 a day. That is the reality. Okay, so they're trying to front there. You can say it was making $975 USD a day, which is what it was making at the time of your post, and that's $292.50 a month. That would have been a truthful statement. Not misleading, right? At that point, I'm not a fan of that either, but at that point, at that moment, it was true, right? We know that it's going to get reduced, and that's where it is up to you to educate yourself and make sure you know what you're doing, right? So that's why I'm not a big fan of like doing videos like that, like titling it, oh, this thing's gonna make $1,000, because we know it's bullshit, right? It's just like clickbait, it's not whatever. But regardless, it's a whole different thing. So the reduction has nothing to do with the price volatility of the coin either. It's actually gone up, but rather the difficulty increasing, which we know is only going to continue to go higher. If a company is advertising a product with a 30-day ROI, then I expect a 30-day ROI, as that's what you are advertising. That's my beef with it. Just like when you advertise a miner for a price, I expect that unit to come with the specs advertised for the price paid, because that's what you're advertising in your ad. So if I buy something that is advertising this, I expect to get that. It's that simple. False advertising and blatantly lying to your consumer like this is the fastest way to lose people's trust, and an even faster way is responding in this manner. Okay, so again, it sucks that we have to like post things like that. Eventually, you know, initially I was posting it up here just to kind of get their attention, like, hey, maybe that's not the best way to advertise it, kind of like in a friendly way. But then when this is your response and then we have to like blatantly put it out there like this, come on guys, y'all are better than that, right? So finally, 5 days later, after the profitability has gone down to less than half of what it was at that time, they now just took it down. And it's not because it's sold out. They still listing that shit on their website. But it's stuff like that that gets me fired up, right? In reality, for me as a content creator, it is a stupid way to do things because that's not how you get sponsors. That's not how you get... And that's why I'm extremely picky with what I choose in those regards, right? I've been offered many things, but I don't take any of them because I feel like I'm promoting those type of things, and I'm not going to promote that bullshit, right? Whether or not some people take it as like, oh, you know, I'm just offering that, giving them their option. But if it's not something I believe in, or if it's not something that I'm going to use, then I'm not going to do that, right? Because at that point, you're endorsing it whether you like it or not. You can even be talking shit about it in your review, but you're still endorsing it. You're still promoting that behavior, right? So that's a big reason, like, I don't do gold shell stuff. I'll talk about them all day, and I'll give my thoughts, and I try to do it in an unbiased way, but it's just the truth is going to come out, right? So things like this, practices like this, is just I'm not a fan of, right? Because they're preying on what? They're preying on the new people coming into the space, and what are they doing, man? They're ruining this community. That's my biggest beef with it overall. That's what the big beef with like gold shell and stuff is also, is that they are also preying on those new guys, screwing them over and getting them out of the game, right? Which, whether or not they want to continue to mine, it's totally up to them. But at this point, you're taking advantage of those people, right? So again, it is imperative and it is important that you guys also educate yourselves as much as possible. That's why we talk about these things. That's why we do try to call out the bullshit when we see it. Because at the end of the day, there's better ways to do this. Again, they could have put on there that, oh, it's currently making, you know, $9 a day, which again, at that moment it was. We know it's bullshit though by the time you get it. But at least at that point, they're not fucking lying to you. This is a straight up bullshit way to advertise, right? So again, that's one of those things that fires me up super quick. I just do not like seeing shit like that, right? Especially in our community. Other communities, I don't care. You want to get rugged, go for it, but not in this community, right? Or the goal of all these things is to try to take care of each other, take care of the community, especially the new people coming in, right? The last thing we want is people to come in. This is how their introduction goes. They get screwed over, and it's like screw crypto, screw everything, right? Which in reality, shitty situation overall, but these are the types of things we want to avoid, and we don't want to promote or endorse those types of companies. At least me personally, right? Everybody do your own shit, but that's the way I view things, right? So definitely, regardless of what their prices are, regardless of what their shit is, this just dead to me, right? So to each their own, everybody do your own thing, but that's just the way I view things, right? So definitely have to be wary of that. Do your own research, guys. Pay attention to things. Don't just take anybody's word for it. You do your own research. You run your own numbers. Take people's thoughts or input into consideration, but at the end of the day, it's up to you to hit that buy button, right? It's up to you to do that research. Same thing with things like this. It's do your research before you're buying anything. Just because you see it on a website and the website looks somewhat legit, if nobody's talking about it, if you, especially any of us who are covering things, there's probably a reason for that, right? And if you're unsure, again, ask people in the community. I don't have a Discord, but there's a lot of other tubers who do. Go in there, ask. There's a bunch of extremely intelligent people all over our community who are going to help you out and help watch out for you. Okay, so let me know in the comments, guys. What do you guys think? Have any of you guys gotten fucked over on some of these things? Let me know what you guys learned. Did you guys learn your lesson? Did you guys see something? Or did you guys see something like this and ask about it and get saved from that? Let us know your experiences with those things, guys. Please comment, like, and subscribe, guys. Thank you for watching, and I am out.